Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, please be seated. The man was full of leprosy. Full of leprosy. The man was outcast, out on the road, unable to go into the town, unable to associate with anyone, unable to drink from the well, unable to eat from the market. The man was a pariah. He was unclean by law. The law said if anyone has this unclean condition, that he must be excluded from all society for the good of all society. It's a very contagious condition, leprosy. People would associate in colonies of lepers because the unclean could stay with the unclean. But this man was off by himself, and he confronted Jesus on the road as Jesus was walking by the road. This man presumably was begging people as they passed by, please give me something to eat, please give me some money so I can go, please give me something so that I can survive. And if they would turn their faces and throw their bread like a dog. They would hold their breath and walk on the other side of the road. We don't know how long he had this condition, but we were told that he was full of leprosy. Full of leprosy means that you wrapped your face with a cloth so that you could not be seen. The sores. Have any of you ever smelled rotting flesh? This is what happens to people with leprosy. The flesh rots from their body. And the smell that accompanies with that goes with them wherever they are. You can smell them a mile away. Unclean. Death. He confronted Jesus. Presumably from way down the road. Jesus, if you're willing, I know you can heal me. Jesus felt the faith of the man. And we don't know how far away. And he went up and in direct violation of the law, touched him. The law said if you touched a person with leprosy who was unclean, you yourself became unclean. Therefore, you had to be ejected, rejected. He touched him, and he was healed. Healed. The healing energy of Jesus that came because of the man's faith came into this man and cleansed him. Being touched literally by Jesus cleansed him. It's faith. If you are willing, you can heal me. I am willing. Be cleansed. Jesus took the risk upon himself in front of all those people, the apostles, the disciples who were following with him, or whoever else was following with him, and cleansed the man right there on the road. Not that he was yet well known throughout the countryside. He was not well known throughout the countryside. He was just beginning his ministry, as we just know. But yet here he was, fresh from changing the water into the wine at the wedding in Cana, to now walking down the road and cleansing a leper. Did Jesus ask him, "Are you an Israelite? Are you a Samaritan? Are you from Galilee? Where are you from? Who are your parents?" He didn't ask him anything. The faith that the man had was enough to propel Jesus with compassion to touch him and cleanse him. And even then he didn't want to be known. Don't just go to the priest like the law says. The law of Moses said if somehow you get cleansed from this uncleanness, then go show yourself to the rabbi so that the rabbi might pronounce you clean. Then you can re-enter society. So that's what Jesus told him to do. Go to the rabbi and have him pronounce you clean. Don't tell anybody. The humility of Jesus is not about headlines. It's about compassion. I know many people who have felt like outcasts, who have felt unwelcome, unworthy, somehow not acceptable. Don't come into my neighborhood, don't come into my backyard, don't come into my restaurant, don't come into my place. We don't serve you because they have some condition. Could be a condition from birth. Could be a condition from just have catch some disease. Might be something. We've known people that have. A few years ago, when HIV started coming around and AIDS, people were not allowed to go into the public restroom for fear that they would contaminate the restroom, and therefore people would spread this disease. Very recently, people not being allowed to go into schools or any place, into colleges or into places, shopping malls. Even now in China, you have to hold your hand up, but they have a chip in their hand, and it knows your medical history if you've been vaccinated or not before you can go in to shop at the grocery store. That's happening today. So we see that the love of Jesus is required upon all of humanity. Please, Jesus, love us. If you are willing, you can heal us. I am willing. Be healed. I am willing. Forgive one another their sins. I am willing. Show mercy to one another. If you want mercy from me, the plight of the poor, the downtrodden, the ostracized, the rejected, the orphans, widows, people who are really vulnerable in our society. I don't know about you. I hear the words of St. Paul. It says, don't associate with anybody who doesn't think like we do. I don't associate with those other Christians or other people who you know are going giving false doctrines. Don't associate with those people. I differ from St. Paul in this regard. because I know and hold in my heart as heroes those Christians who took the Jews who were being persecuted to death in Germany and Poland into their homes in France and into their homes so they would not be executed, under the risk that they would be executed if they had found them in their house. I hold in high esteem those people who were participants in the Underground Railroad, particularly here in Ohio and all up through New England. People that would escape off the plantation against the law to find freedom for themselves and their family, exhausted, swimming the Ohio River, how to get across to freedom. If I could only get to Ohio, if I could only get to Maryland from Virginia, if I could get up to Boston, wow, have it made. New York, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, anywhere. Try walking for 300 miles, 400 miles, 700 miles by yourself with children, with no help, raiding chicken coops. People who made it their business to say, this is a wrong, no matter what the law says, this is a wrong, and I'm going to help these people out of compassion. I can hear their prayers even yet. Oh God, have mercy on me. Whatever God you are, the God of the white people, please have mercy on me. And they did. And so this is the people that we hold in high respect and esteem because they did the right thing in spite of what the law said. Did Jesus reject the law? He says, I tell you one thing, not one dot or tittle of the law will pass away until all things have been fulfilled. And it'll be better for Sodom and Gomorrah than for those lawbreakers. And yet, we worship Jesus as the fulfillment of the law. The law that was given to Moses on the mountain was for the survival of those people, the Israelites, so that they could have a code of conduct for themselves, so that they might maintain a covenant with God. This is, you are our God, we are your people. All you say we shall do, we shall do. And if we don't do it, cursed be upon us and our nth generation. But the mission, one of the missions of Jesus, of course, is to relieve those people of the curse of the law. You hear it said, what is the Messiah? To relieve us of the curse of the law. Not the blessing of the law. You keep the law, it's salvation. But no one kept the law. So therefore the law was the curse. We're told that through the law sin came into the world. Before there was no law against it, you could do whatever you want. Who's to say it's against the law? What law? So through the law, sin came into the world. We know that sin entered the world long before the law. But you couldn't call it a sin legally if there was no law to break. People have argued. Cain slew Abel. And Jesus said, go out to those other people. They'll kill me. If they kill you, I will avenge you. Even though you were a murderer of your brother, I'll avenge you 7 times. Lamech, 7 generations down the line, killed somebody and said, well, if Cain is avenged 7 times, I'm avenged 70 times, 7 times. Jesus, being asked, Master, how many times must we forgive? 7 times? He says, no, I tell you, 70 times, 7 times. Directly replacing vengeance with forgiveness. So when Jesus comes, and he is the one, he didn't allow the leper to touch him. The leper wouldn't dare. Jesus touched the leper. And he was cleansed. Jesus, the fulfillment of the law, relieved the man from his curse. Right there in front of those people. So when you see people who are outcast, shunned by society, disregarded, disrespected, well, I think that would describe many of the people who come here every day. Misunderstood, misjudged, maladjusted, confused, and disoriented in many ways. Using things which are inappropriate, saying things which are inappropriate, doing things which are inappropriate, but yet possessing within themselves the light of Christ. So I charge you, look only at the light of Christ. If you can't see it, look harder. It's there. The light of Christ is in each and every soul that has a life. And I don't care what club they're in. I don't care what patriarch they're under, what pope, what synod. I don't care what they are. Our job is not to judge them and to exclude them. Our job is to love them, feed them, have mercy on them, and touch them in the power of Christ. Many of you know what it is to be rejected, and I must say despised. For you could say, well, I didn't do nothing. Had a man come and speak to me just yesterday. Just yesterday morning. Can I talk to you, Father? Yes. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to feel? He says. I go down to the church and I have a nice dinner. I hear a nice sermon. I'm filled with God and His Holy Spirit, and I'm walking down the street, and all of a sudden the helicopter comes, the cars, police come up, and they say, get on the ground. What do I do? You look like somebody that committed, we're looking for somebody. I look like somebody. What was he wearing? Black pants, red stripes. Do I have red stripes? You must have changed your pants, you idiot. So, I know that I'm reaching several of you right now with matters that are close to your heart, hitting a nerve, You don't know what you're talking about, Father. You don't have to live the life that I live. You don't have the skin that I have. You don't have the education that I have. You don't have the parents that I grew up with. You don't know what I know. And you're right, I don't. But I tell you, I hear the words of Jesus. If you're willing, you can heal. And he says, I am willing. Be healed. Be filled with the strength of God. Every step that you take, every breath that you take, every heartbeat of your heart, be filled with the strength of God. It's you that he loves. The love of God is for you because he loves you. The power of the cleansing of the sin, the worldly world, to elevate you to a different place in your life, your soul on fire with a love that surpasses human understanding. It's divine. And you, being created in this image of the divine, can act like, can receive it and be transformed and empowered by it so that you're never a victim again by anything. I didn't ask the man if he was acting in a suspicious manner, walking down the street. Giving off an energy of, I don't know what you've done, but I know you did something. I don't know. But I do know that that is not necessary. If you have the power of Christ in you, if you have the healing nature of God, that you can now become an apostle of Christ in his healing light, his healing nature, to forgive the sins of everyone you meet. You have the power. Your faith is what drives it, and your intention. Your intention to be Christ-like in your comings and your goings. In every aspect of our life, we can be Christ-like. And when we fall short, as we all do, don't even ask me. You can go and have recourse to him yet again. Oh Christ, fortify me in my resolve to be more and more like you. Oh God, oh Christ, Holy Spirit, hear me. Let you not escape from my thoughts, my mind, my intention, my heart, for anyone that I meet. Even though I'm filled with anger at people who play dumb games and win dumb prizes. People out here play dumb games and they win dumb prizes. They play risky games with their life and they lose it. Makes me angry. You know, one of the stages of grief is anger. If you've lost someone, and we all have lost someone, denial, anger, isolation, withdrawal, acceptance, and healing. Can you imagine that leper on the road? All the things that he felt in his life. Every time somebody spat on him, cursed him, how he felt. You kick a dog, and kick him again, and kick him again, and kick him again. How's the dog going to be? How's anybody going to be if you kick them, hurt them, reject them, call them names, hate them? Object of fear, derision. How did he feel about that? Did he go through anger, denial, withdrawal, acceptance, submission, and healing? What is healing but empowerment? What is forgiveness but empowerment? What is reconciliation but empowerment? What is forgiveness but empowerment? If you forgive someone their sin, aren't you empowered as much as they are? As if you have the power to forgive the sin, who do you think you are to forgive the sin of that man? I am nothing, but with Christ I have the power to forgive the sin of that man, and I do so. You are forgiven in the sight of Christ, and in my heart I forgive you. And this is the power that we have, and we can bring this power and use this power and manifest this power in ourselves. Then whose victim can you now be? Where are your accusers? Oh, there are none. And neither do I accuse you. Go and sin no more. We can take these words of Jesus, and they're meant for your empowerment, for you to receive His power and become Him in the world while you're in the world. I'm the light of the world while I'm in the world. Let your torch shine forth from the mountaintop. Don't hide it. Shine it forth. This torch, shining torch of faith. Actualize it. Turn it on. It's done by faith and intention. It supersedes the law.